This is a Dresser TD-40B Bulldozer. It's made by CCM or Classic Construction Models in 1/48 scale. Now this thing has an awful lot going for it. There are 1,000 different little interesting tidbits about this model. I'm going to try to cover them all, but it's a little overwhelming. So first off, the Dresser TD-40. Dresser didn't really make bulldozers. They didn't really make anything as far as heavy equipment goes. International Harvester actually made the bulldozer. And when they went out of business in the early 80s, well, actually right before they went out of business, they sold off their construction line, all their construction machinery, the scrapers, the bulldozers, the payloaders, all of it. And Dresser bought it. So what they did was they kept everything exactly the same. They just changed the name, changed the color scheme a little bit, and essentially built a construction company or construction equipment manufacturer overnight. And so that's where the Dresser comes in. Now, what's really interesting is the TD-40 itself by now is well over 40 years old, probably 45 years old, honestly. And it was continuously in development. It got better and better and better through International Harvester. And then once Dresser bought them, the development really stopped. And Dresser's not in business. Well, I don't know if they're not in business anymore, but they sold off their construction line. They sold off International's construction line, really. And some parts went to Komatsu, some parts went to Lugong, and Lugong made the TD-40 for a while. At least I think they did. I might be wrong. And eventually they sold off a lot of the dozer line to a company called Dresser, which is, I think, in Poland, either Poland or Russia. And Dresser still makes the TD-40. Now, there's been some minor changes. I think the transmission is different, the cab's been updated, but the basic machine is still the same. After all this time, it's still the same. So that's either a testament to the quality of International Harvester, or it's just the idea that there's still a big market for a basic, bare bones, simple power bulldozer. So somewhere in between there lies the truth. Now, going back to CCM. So typically CCM until the mid-90s, this is about, well, not this one, we'll get into that in a minute, but the TD-40 from CCM is about 25 years old. It was about the mid-90s. So up until that point, CCM had only made models in brass, which meant if you got something from CCM, you were paying $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 to get it. And that's not possible. It's not feasible for 95%, maybe even 99% of your collectors out there. You can't shell out $3,000 for this to sit on the shelf. That's ridiculous. It's just not possible. So what CCM wanted to do was they wanted to get into diecast, and they picked the Dresser TD-40 as their first diecast model. And that's what they did. And it was fantastic. It was really successful for them. They all sold out real quick because just the idea that you were getting CCM quality at, 10%, if that, of what you would have normally paid, of course they were popular. They made a couple different versions of the TD-40. They made the TD-40Bs, and there's a ROPS version. I think there's one with a winch. There's one with a cab, and then they made them again as a TD-40C, and they updated a little bit. Now, where this one comes in, this was made in 2005 for Hurricane Katrina as a fundraiser by CCM. I want to say they took the Series C cab and put it on the 40B. This was a new run of models. They had already made the TD-40C by this time. That's why these were special, because it was a model that you couldn't get anymore. Like I said, they had all been sold out. So when these come out, they sold out instantly, and they only made 60 of them total, which is really cool. That's why this is so interesting and unique, because there's only 60 of these in the world. And like I said, this was 10 years after they had originally been made. So that's another reason why this is so interesting and so unique. Now, as far as the model itself goes, it's fantastic. This thing weighs a metric ton. The details are great. The paint is great. The hydraulic lines and everything else, just the handrails and the panels, it just looks fantastic. The tracks and everything. It's just it's a really nice model, and in this particular case, it's very hard to find. It's cool that you even have the AC unit on top. I mean, just everything about it is cool. And when you keep in mind all the little factors about how this came to be what it is, it makes it even more interesting. At least to me it does. You know, just having a piece of metal sitting on the shelf is not really special, but when you know the backstory and you know a little bit of the information about it, and it makes a lot more sense, and you gain a perspective on it that's different. So that's pretty much all I had to say about this. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to ask. If you'd like to see more of what we have, please subscribe to Maryland Construction Diecast, and thanks for watching.